Here we are, Classic Football Shirts in Manchester. What a treasure trove this is. And we've got Stan, social media manager. Tell us a bit about Classic Football Shirts, Stan.
So yeah, Classic Football Shirts all started in 2006 when our two founders, Matt and Doug, were at university. They started it as a kind of side hustle, side project, and they did it out of their bedrooms at university. So you can imagine how small that was compared to now, and it's just grown and grown to the point now where we've got 5 stores worldwide. We do pop-ups all the time. We've got more stores coming. So yeah, it's just ever expanding.
And we've got Mike Phelan coming in today. 40 plus years he's been in football. He's probably worn and come up against most of these shirts in here. What's it like to have someone like Mike come and have a look round your store?
Oh, it's an absolute honour. Like you said, obviously Alex Ferguson is the biggest icon for Manchester United, and Mike Phelan works so closely with him. So it's a pleasure to have him in here. And obviously had such a decorated career. We played for so many teams, and we should have shirts from pretty much all those teams in here. So it'll be great to see his reaction to them, yeah.
Well, we're going to have a good dig round. We'll see what we can find. 40 odd year career. We could be here for some time, but we'll have some fun. Thanks again for having us. Looking forward to it. Right, we'll have a rummage around. Bit of claret and blue there where you started.
Spotted one there.
Hull City.
Yeah, what a good one.
So I believe these are the 2016-17 season shirts.
Yeah, home shirt, away shirt.
Yeah.
Really good. Really good time.
How did you end up at Hull? I mean, you became manager, but you went in...
Yeah, I went in with Steve Bruce as his assistant. Steve called me, asked me if I'd give him a hand and what have you up at Hull. And it worked out well. The first season we got promoted and through the playoffs, and it was terrific, great journey.
Promoted to the Premier League, and Steve never came back.
Yeah, well, he did come back, and then he left during the just before the pre-season started. So I was asked to take over as caretaker for that period of time, which I accepted, and started with 15 players pre-season and 4 kids. 2 of those kids actually were Robertson and Jared Bowen.
Your first game, you won. Leicester City, was it?
Leicester City,
2-1,
yeah.
they were the current champions at the time.
Yeah, they'd upset everything in the Premier League really by winning it the following year, and then they came to Hull City, and we took them on, and we managed to get a win. A good start for me as a caretaker manager to look forward to the next few games.
And you had a good month as well, didn't you? I think, am I right in thinking you were manager of the month, Premier League?
Yeah, it was really one of those sort of situations where we started really well. We had a limited group of players, but we ended up with me winning the manager of the month, Premier League, which was quite an honour. But it was difficult after that, to say the least, to keep doing making those achievements.
There were some fantastic players that wore this particular shirt, and we've got one here. Robertson, who's gone on to play 200 plus games for Liverpool. Scotland, become Scotland captain as well, Champions League winner, Premier League winner.
He was young, up and coming. I think he was at Dundee, one of the Dundee clubs. Came down through a scout, Stan Turner, who brought him down, and Steve signed him. And he really started to progress, and he started linking up with a lot of the players. I mean, he had so much energy, so much to give to a team, and we just really used his strengths, which was to get forward, go beyond people, and he had a very, very good left foot. So the balance was really good that he brought to the team, and his crossing ability was exceptional. Could we say a full back in the day, but also probably a wing back, which he is now. But he's obviously developed over the years, the step up from Hull to Liverpool.
Same team, just inside him, Harry Maguire.
Yeah, Harry was another one who came to Hull, I think, he was actually spotted as a midfield player at Sheffield United. I think he was playing as a deep midfield player at Sheffield United, could play at centre-back, but ultimately his progression was to be centre-back at Hull City, and he did that very well. You
were reunited with him later on at Manchester United and gone on to have a fantastic career there and playing for his country as well, England. Did you see that in him? Has he grown? Has he developed over the years?
Harry was, well, he is a football player. He can handle the ball well, he can distribute the ball well, he reads the game pretty well. Yes, Harry had a few minor things that weren't quite as good as they could be, But I think all football players are like that. So you want the strengths. Harry's strengths was his physique, his attitude, his application, his mindset was stronger than most people's. And he really brought everything to the game, and he wanted to succeed. You could definitely see that. And his progression to Manchester United and beyond into the England team has been a credit to him.
Now, one of the kids that wore this particular shirt, Jared Bowen.
He was in the academy, and really it came about, Jared, was the fact that we didn't have enough players. You know, we were going on a pre-season tour and we had 15 or 16, sort of what you would say senior players, squad players, and then there was a few of the kids. So I brought a few of the kids along. Jared was one of them because he showed talent. It was just a case of getting him in with the big boys really and finding out whether he got it. And pre-season is one of those moments when you can do that. And he actually blossomed, started to show some real quality, and because of the numbers, he managed to stay within the squad. And he's performing now at the level I expected him to, and I'm sure there's a higher level that he could go to as well.
So, Manchester United section, the man himself, Sir Alex.
Yeah.
Played for him.
What can you say about it?
Coached for him and been his assistant. Is it different?
Yeah,
is it a different guy?
It is different because, you know, when you go there as a player and he chooses you to be a player for him and for Manchester United, you know, there's a lot of loyalty in that and you want to do the best for him. And then obviously when you promote yourself and you go into coaching, that's a different scenario altogether. But then ultimately you go from player, coach to assistant manager.
You're going from working with him as opposed to working for him.
That's right. Yeah, and then you understand the mechanisms. You know, I was lucky with Sir Alex that I played, coached and was his assistant. So you actually start to work out what happened and decision making when you were a player. You know, and some of the times when you thought, wow, that's a strange one, but it works. And then 20 years down the line, you really work it out because you're doing the same things.
Would you have been a better player if you knew what you knew when you went into the office?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'd all be better players if we knew now what we didn't know then. Yeah, there's some wicked ones, but there's some historical ones
this one
as well.
This, I recognise this one. I think this is the treble year.
Right.
David Beckham.
Oh, well, David for me was a young boy who was coming through. I mean, I remember as a player at United when David started to show up when we travelled away from home into down to London, and he used to meet us as we got off the coach. This little skinny, spotty David Beckham, who everybody was talking about, and little did we know that eventually he would become as great a player as he has been over the years. But yeah, that treble-winning year was something that sticks in the memory of most Man United fans and even non-Man United fans. I think they can all account for their whereabouts when that treble actually happened.
He was renowned for his delivery of a football, probably not the quickest, but in terms of that ball arriving in the box.
Well, that was the connection. I mean, football's all about connections on the field, and certainly the Beckham Van Nistelrooy connection was as good as anything that Man United have had. So anything that David received, usually from someone like Keane or from Gary Neville down that side, and certainly David, he only needed a couple of touches, opened his body opened up, and he would whip that ball in different crosses. And he was definitely the instrument of Ruud Van Nistelrooy's strikes on goal, but Ruud himself is the one who has to put it in the back of the net.
And he scored his fair share as well, probably more known for his free kicks than anything. Iconic really across the world.
Yeah, he was
his dead ball situations.
He was a perfectionist on that. You know, he would be one that would take himself away and practice set plays. You know, be that corners, be that free kicks, and he had different ways of hitting the ball, different ways of addressing the football from different areas of the football field. And it's no luck that he scored as many free kicks as he did.
So, having a look through here,
we've got now?
Well, we've got Van Persie there.
Again.
Next to this, I mean, controversial, I suppose. He came from Arsenal.
Nobody expected this signing to happen. Sir Alex got it over the line. They got him out of Arsenal, and he hit the ground at Man United.
How does that come about? We chasing him, or was he made aware?
Opportunity.
Right.
I think you hear something, or you follow leads.
Yeah.
There's potentially something to be done there, and the magic of the great man Sir Alex was the fact that he could persuade anybody. to join this football club, and getting this guy over the line and getting him onto the football field pretty quickly, he produced straight away. Some of the goals he scored were iconic in themselves. Van Persie was probably one of those newcomers that could play along the forward line, and he could do it and be very, very capable in every one of those roles, and produced as well. You know, not only was he just a goal scorer, he could link the play as well. And you know, you wear that shirt, you know, whether it's Van Persie, Van Nistelrooy, Cantona, the object is to be in the right place at the right time and score memorable goals. And score tap-ins. Solskjaer, we didn't touch on Solskjaer.
There's definitely some Ollie shirts here. We've got
well, we can put them two together because they are two top strikers.
Two number 20s.
That are as good as any forwards in the game now. Probably better than some of them. But Ollie, obviously I had my moments with Ollie as well, both as a coach, when he came back as a manager, but you know, he gets unfairly tagged the super sub because he didn't really want to be a substitute. It's just the fact that he could make an impression when he came on, and he could score some wondrous goals. And he was a thinking man on the bench, watched the game, didn't just rehearse it. He was actually involved in the game, even though he was sat next to me some of the time. But he could make an impact.
You look at Manchester United when he came in as manager. You worked alongside him. That free-flowing attacking football came again. The amount of goals that you scored, you won, was it 10 on the bounce? And he's now gone into Besiktas and pretty much done the same. They're scoring goals, they're climbing up the table, they're winning games.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, he's a good guy, and you want him to do well because it's all there. The passion is there. It rubs off on people. He's very warming to people. He wants all players to do really well. You know, he wants them to go down and go on that journey of success that he had. And he wants to give them all the opportunities to do that. And at Besiktas, he feels as though he's just stepped straight in there, and he's continuing from where he left off. You know, he started at Man United as the manager. I mean, it was all guns blazing, recreated the way Man United play again, went off to a fantastic start, and then obviously a little dip comes along. But ultimately, he had the right heart and the right understanding of what it was to be a top player and top coach.
We are now going down south. We're in London, and late 80s, early 90s. Tottenham Hotspur, Hummel, Holston Pills. Any memories?
I remember the Hummel shirts from my Norwich days when I was at Norwich. They used to wear Hummel and what have you. So this memory's a good one really when you think about the players that played here at Tottenham. These were this was one of the grounds, the old White Hart Lane, and where you wanted to go and play football because you were playing against some serious talent and what have you, and you were judged against, you know, major opponents, and Tottenham were one of them. For me, this brings back... Did you play
there for Burnley as a kid?
I did, yeah, in the cup, and we beat them down there actually with Ardiles and Roberts and all these. Hoddle, I think, played in it as well. Right. And Burnley, my hometown club, we give them a bit of a doing on their famous pitch. But this reminds me of your likes of Lineker and Gaza. I'm not sure whether I might be right or wrong here, whether Klinsmann wore this as well. But ultimately, I like this strip. I like the plainness of it.
All the time he spent on the floor.
Maybe, yeah, but he liked to fall down now and again. But he was a top player. Gaza in particular was a fabulous player. You know, one of my sort of heroes in the day, even though he's a lot younger than me.
He nearly came to United.
He nearly did, yeah. Nearly. It was very close. I think it all came down to a last-minute phone call where Tottenham or he lost his way down the M1 or the M6 or the A1, whatever it was, and he ended up there. But no, Gaza. My recollections of Gaza are not only with Tottenham but with England as well. You know, where me and him sat a couple of times on the bench. You know, talking about all things good and waiting to get on the field. He got on more than I ever did. I got my one cap and got involved in 5 or 6 squads. But he was an exceptional talent. You've got to consider him one of the best footballers that this country's produced. In the position, he was an unusual player He was strong. He was physically
I'm going to say
capable.
close control. The pitches weren't great in those days.
No,
He could hold
great
people
ball
off.
control.
He could carry it through lines. He could shoot from distance.
Yeah.
And there's times
And
when
his
he could beat
creativity
6, 7
was good.
players and
His
roll it
creativity
in
was,
there.
and to be honest, he's a fan's favourite. You know, every fan, whether he was at Newcastle or Tottenham, wanted to be Paul Gascoigne on a football field because he just oozed confidence, he oozed quality and class, and he delivered. He delivered over a period of time, and a great ambassador for both Newcastle and Tottenham.
Probably less of a character, or maybe in a different way, Gary Lineker. Great goal scorer, ultimate professional. You come up against Gary in your career?
Yeah, many times. Yeah, he was part of the England setup when I broke through for a couple of squads. But my recollection of Gary was at Old Trafford, funnily enough, when I remember the team talk Sir Alex gave before the game, and Sir Alex was sort of saying they got a number 9 in Lineker, they got a forward, can score goals, but don't worry about him. He doesn't score goals from outside the box, only inside the box. What happens? He picks up the ball one side of the field, he runs a little bit further outside the box, rattles it in top corner. Everybody's thinking, wow, some team thought that was. But it just shows you that players with this type of quality you can never rule out from scoring great goals, and he could score goals. And a career second to none, you know, not only in this country, but went on his travels
Barcelona,
abroad and was a great servant to the game of football. You know, it's a job for everybody to know exactly where a player of this quality is on the football field, especially when you're defending, because they can pop up in all these places and cause you some serious damage just by blinking. And he had that quality.
And moving across London now, Arsenal. This particular shirt, does it evoke any memories? Any particular players come to mind?
Yeah, players like Linnegan, certainly Ian Wright, super centre forward, probably an icon at Arsenal. Yeah, still is today. You know, many players have probably modelled themselves on an Ian Wright. I remember Ian through this shirt playing against him. We had some battles against Arsenal, serious battles home and away. As people may know, I like Burnley Football Club. That's my hometown. And this guy, Ian Wright, played for Burnley at one point. So that just shows you that even a small town like Burnley can attract the biggest and the best sometimes. And he did a fair shift for Burnley. He did.
He scored a few goals. He certainly delivered. I think they got promoted that season.
Yeah. He left his mark in Burnley, and I'm sure the fans at Burnley remember him very, very well.
Now then, the Legends Wall. Klinsmann, Henry, Shevchenko.
Well, you think of forwards in the day, and there's plenty of forwards on this rail here, but they make the difference, don't they? Henry.
He set the Premier League on fire, didn't he? But there's a lot of talk about they pay big money for players these days. They come into the country and they're not an instant hit. He struggled, didn't he, in his first year?
Yeah, he was finding his way. I think sort of a step up into sort of the into the big league in a way. You know, coming from France, and then
Then he delivered.
And then once he got his legs, he got his foot in. I think Plodby probably was moved his position a little bit. He became a legend in his own right. You know, some of the qualities that Thierry had was second to none, and a breath of fresh air, really. You know, and we go back a little bit, even before Henry, and we look at Klinsmann, and we're talking about a German now playing in England, which was difficult times probably.
He energised the Premier League.
Pace, power, ability to score goals in the air, on the floor, enthusiasm, controversy,
smile on his face all the time.
Controversy, but enjoyed playing the game. So all these sort of players we're talking about now are full of life, full of enjoyment.
Frank Lampard,
who's gone into management now and what have you, and his career spans numerous years of playing at the top level, but also numerous years of scoring goals. Yeah, magnificent goal scorer. And now he's passing on his wisdom at Coventry now. We can go past the usuals, the Beckham. And the Cantonars, two fantastic exponents of the football, really. Yeah. They could make a football talk at times. And this one here, interestingly enough, Del Piero, we can all remember, was it Channel 4 or Channel 5 TV?
Channel 4, Sunday.
When Italian football became the norm, and some top players were playing out there at the time, and he was certainly one of those players that, you know, he could make the ball talk with his goals, with his distribution.
This guy next to him,
down,
interesting character here. I mean, he certainly did set all TV screens alight.
I spotted this shirt on the rail, and the reason I spotted it, yes, because I love the shirt. I love the black and white. You know, if I take myself back to my childhood, I played in a strip very, very similar to that, black and white. But you're talking about a great player in Espria. Lots of Newcastle fans will remember the qualities he brought to the game. But just look at that shirt. That shirt itself tells you everything about football as an industry. It's an industrial shirt. Look at the collar, you know, throw back, the buttons, the brewery. Everybody loves a pint of that up in, or a bottle of that up north. But I just think it oozes quality, that shirt. I really, really like that shirt. And it's
exciting footballer as well.
Exciting footballer, yeah. Unusual footballer, South American, a little bit gangly, but again, ferocious on the football field and very, very passionate about Newcastle and certainly passionate about the game.
Dennis Bergkamp.
Now we're talking about
Dutch shirt here, but an absolute master in an Arsenal shirt.
The orange of the Netherlands, worn by a player of real quality. I mean, we can talk about him a long time, both for Arsenal and for his country. Some exceptional goals, exceptional talent. Probably takes me into the Cantona environment, you know, with that ability to do something unexpected out of the blue, and produced and looked an exceptional team player and did his talking on the football field.
Yeah,
I think that's one thing you could say about Bergkamp. Softly spoken, probably had a way of understanding the game that most players didn't, but he was exceptional.
And moving on, as we get further down the Legends Wall, we've now got three absolute
Now, if you look at them three there,
stars here.
Any team in the world would want them three as their forwards. They could play anywhere, they could do things with the ball that we could only dream of, but all different in their own special way. Zidane exceptional, probably a 10 come midfield player, but the quality that Zidane produced mostly every game at the level he produced it, at the clubs he produced it at, is second to none, and highly regarded in the game as
fierce
a
competitor as well.
Competitor, yeah, very fierce competitor, but had the qualities that any midfield player would want. Messi, what can you say about Messi and Ronaldo? I mean, we put the shirts next to each other because they're still competitive now. And I think with Messi, blessed with unbelievable talent, unique talent, small, being able to manipulate the ball with great effect, great team player, he actually understands space on the football field. And where he can actually use his skills to the best effect. And sometimes that standing still, wait for the ball to come to him, and then away you go. At the level he's at and the level he got to in his prime, he would take some fierce challenges and come out the other end with the ball, which was a great quality and a great sort of determination to have. So he's tough.
Yeah, tough. Similar to Maradona, his fellow countryman and compatriot.
Very much, yeah.
Kicked and chopped, but they keep going.
The other guy now,
Ronaldo.
Well, I was blessed in some way to just be there when he turned up. An exceptional talent, great driver of standards, great driver and exponent of how to play attacking football.
I mean, you've had him
to score goals
in your environment twice. Once as a young lad, he came into Manchester United at 18?
Yeah, from Sporting, yes.
How did he develop or grow?
He developed because he had an understanding of what it takes to be successful, no matter where you play football. So at Sporting, he had a way of doing things. He's gone through the youth ranks, gone through their system. He then takes the option to come out of that environment, a comfortable environment, into an uncomfortable environment in a way, but he was ready for it. He was the world's best in his mind the day he joined Manchester United. But ultimately, the standards he set himself was to progress day in, day out, to play, to recover, to train, to try and do things that no other players could do, and to leave his mark on a football pitch. You know, as a coach, there's not a lot you give to a player like that. If anything, you know, you just set an environment up for him to perform in, and he does the rest. And he learned and learned and learned because he wanted to get to be the best player in the world.
Did he integrate quickly as a young lad? I mean, you're playing with people such as Beckham, Rooney, Giggs, etc.
Yeah, he did. He was confident. And you have to have confidence and arrogance and, you know, all these types of things in order to live in that environment. Otherwise, you don't survive. And he brought that quality and he developed it. The beauty of Cristiano is he develops all the time. He develops every day. And even now,
he must have a degree of humility as well to sort of learn. There's a growth mindset there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. He took upon himself to integrate himself into the team, but into the culture, into the environment. But ultimately, he's a football player who wanted to express himself all the time on the football field. And he did that. You know, he's a match winner.
Yeah.
Just like Messi, just like Zidane. Match winners. So in that moment of, you know, who's going to do something different that could possibly win you the game, these three guys could all do that. Particularly Ronaldo, particularly Messi, particularly Zidane. And they make a difference. To bring Ronaldo back to Manchester United was a coup. You know, I mean, it was a definite opportunity that you possibly would regret not doing it. When he came back, you know, he's gone on record and said that he didn't feel as though the standard was as high as when he left, which is pretty common knowledge.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was anything extraordinary in that. But he did come and he did produce. He scored goals.
Yeah.
You put him in the team, you put that ball in and around, not only to him to score goals, but he could create scoring goals, even then when he came the second time round. And he's still doing it now, and I think that's a credit to him. Unfortunately, you know, it didn't sort of pan out the way probably everybody wanted it to, but that's a decision you make. He was older, he was wiser, he knew where he wanted to be and he knew who he wanted to be with, and he made that decision.
Fergie was quite upset at 80 million, said that the club had given him away at that price.
Yeah, 80 million was like, wow, at that time. Probably about 3 months later, we probably thought we should have got 160 million because he just stepped into Real Madrid like a whirlwind, and the rest is history.